I think as the focus in our industry started to change, it became more competitive, you're looking for more creativity and innovation, and people that were visionaries. I wanted those descriptions to describe me. And so I was talking to a gentleman. He worked for us at one point. He left the company and he came back to work for us. And I was sharing with him, you know, when people describe me, they don't talk about me being innovative and creative. They talk more about me being sincere and about my heart. And he said, but Ellen, those are the descriptives that you should want for yourself, because you don't find that in a lot of people. And he said, those are the reasons that we want to work for you as our leader, because you care about us, and you care about us being successful. And don't sell yourself short. He says you are creative, and you do have a vision. You have a vision for the department, you have a vision for us. When I was 5, I was not allowed to go to kindergarten because it was for white students only. And my grandfather and my mother taught me to write. They taught me the alphabet. My grandfather, when he would come in from farming all day, he'd pull up the little ABC wooden blocks that I had, and he said, okay, position these and tell me what these are. And then during the day, my mother taught me, so that when I was able to go to first grade, I was not behind. I was going to be competitive with the other children. When I went into the second grade is the year that they integrated the schools. And that was a pretty tough transition. I remember the first day riding that bus with children who didn't want to sit beside me. So my seat was the only seat that no one would sit by me. They would sit with others. When I go into the cafeteria to get my lunch, and they would stand far away from me in line. Or if I'd set my tray on the table, they would all just scatter or not play with me at recess. So I remember coming home every day just crying to my mother, let me go back to the old school. A couple of years later, then moved to the city in Toledo, Ohio, and it was the opposite almost. I had a white school teacher, I had a mixture of races in the classroom. It was different. And I started to feel more comfortable being in school. I was always an A student, strived to be the best. And then when I went away to college, I went to a college that, again, it felt like I was back in the 60s. I decided to major in engineering, which was predominantly male. It definitely did not have many minorities in it at the time. This was in Michigan. And the treatment was very similar, but I had a white roommate. And we got along well. We learned about each other's culture. That has really, I think, brought me to even where I am today, leading diversity and inclusion for Southwest Airlines. It is about acknowledging and celebrating the talents, the skills, unique perspectives of all our people. Now, Herb has said before that we should mirror our customers. They should see themselves within our company. And I think that makes a big difference as to who we are today. Well, here at Southwest Airlines, the golden rule, and we know the definition of the golden rule, and treating others the way that you want to be treated. At Southwest Airlines, especially, we have a culture where we care about those around us. It doesn't matter our title. We want our people, our teams to be successful. And to me, when I look at my success as a leader, it is based on how successful my team is, how well they're doing, how productive are they getting everything that they need. And when I talk to employees as their leader, I will say, I may have the title, but my role is to ensure that you have all that you need to be successful, that you're in a safe environment, that you feel comfortable being productive, speaking up, that you feel comfortable sharing your ideas. And by having that conversation, and I mean really caring about the individuals, you build a level of trust. Whatever your expertise is, be good at that. Your relational skills, you should have the ability to build meaningful, strong working relationships, and you should have influential skills. Well, you can't have influential skills if you have not built good, strong working relationships, which requires trust. And at Southwest Airlines, that is our #1 priority, internal customers. And if you take care of our internal customers or our employees, they will in turn take care of our external customers. In order to be a leader, people need to see that you do care about them, you care about what their future, you're willing to listen to them. Many times we don't tend to appreciate the differences in others from ourselves, and that becomes a challenge when you have to bring teams together to work on specific projects or to work in one particular focused area. And so what I have found is you have to find ways to get them to understand and appreciate the differences in their teammate, because what I see as the leader is I need all of their perspectives to make this project, to meet the deadline, or to ensure that we're going to be successful. So I need those individuals who question more. I need those individuals who forge ahead. I need those individuals who are very creative, and each one of them brings a different strength to the team. I have found that those that like to forge ahead quickly do not always tend to appreciate those that take a little bit more time, excuse me, to ask the questions or to get to know the person better, or to maybe show those aspects of the heart. They think, why can't we move ahead? Why do we need to take the time to talk about this, about how we feel about something, about how we're going to forge ahead? And so there are times when I've had to have the individual conversations to find a way to relate to what's important to them. So if it's important to them to meet the deadline, then I will talk to them about, we meet the deadline, and as we bowl ahead and knock down all the trees to get there, you hit the finish line, but you have nobody following you. You don't have maybe half the team believing in you, or that you even care about them. So really, what have we accomplished? The deadline's here, but then on that next project, how much energy and time are they going to give you? Will they feel comfortable speaking up because you kind of pushed them to the side because you had to hit the deadline and you didn't have time to listen to their explanations? So next time when they have this great idea that can make that project the best, they sit back quietly. I said there's so many times when those that are sitting very quietly may have the best answer for us, and taking the time to at least ask the question and care enough about all of the people you're responsible for or about your team will make a difference. I've seen it every time, over and over again. But when you invest that time and energy, we see it in the bottom line. We see it because their most creative ideas come forward, the skills that they have, they're willing to share those, they're willing to work extra weekends at home. I'll see emails coming from individuals and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, why are they up at 2 a.m.? You know, we're not asking them to be, but they're like, we want to. Even within our environment here, there is always opportunity for improvement, and there is no place that's perfect, I will say. So what I have found is that it really does start with leaders. You need the perspective of all. I think you're more successful, and there are corporations that can show that they are more successful when they have taken the female perspective, when they've taken the perspective of multiple cultures, when they've taken the perspective of multiple generations and combined that in the decision-making process. They are more successful because we have customers who have those perspectives. And when you are trying to create a product, an idea, and you want to, for instance, market that to the public, well, the public is women and multiple generations and multiple cultures and multiple perspectives. And in order to relate to those, my team needs to have that look, that feel, and that level of energy. We allow our people to be who they are. And that's always been respectful, adhering to the core values that we have. But I'm talking about sharing their ideas, and it also takes energy to learn about other people and other cultures. And when you can do that and understand how to communicate and how to motivate and how to energize someone different, you're going to get the best from them every time. When you're looking at the numbers, you want to meet the budget. Numbers aren't going the direction you want them to, the trends aren't going in that direction. It gets very stressful. And I have seen the cost of not taking the time, of not taking the time to meet with the people, of putting that to the side, of having meetings where you only talk about the numbers, where you have not acknowledged maybe a situation that one of your team members is going through. I've seen where they have not given their best, and you've had those individual conversations. What's going on here? We've got a deadline to meet. We've got numbers to meet. I don't see you being who I know you can be. There's something happening here. You're not energetic. You're not giving us your ideas. You're sitting quietly in the meeting. And then they take a moment to share something that's personal that's going on in their lives. Whereas normally if I'd had my one-on-ones with them, instead of putting that to the side and focusing on this project that we're on, I would have known that. And I probably would have handled them a little differently, letting them know that maybe giving them a little time off to go take care of a situation so that when they were in the room, they were fully engaged. It is so important to have the one-on-one time and to let people know how well they're doing. A lot of times we don't give that feedback until maybe a final performance appraisal at the end of the year. They find out they're not meeting the mark. I guess I can say I've seen when you don't do it, the consequences of not taking the time for your people versus when you do. But what I found is when you give that time to your people, they're going to go that extra mile to help you meet that goal. Colleen, of course, is unique in her own special way. But what I love about her is, as big as her heart is, she knows how to give what I call tough love too. When you have to be direct and to the point, and you have to at times critique. I know that she was giving me, I think it was my first performance appraisal. I had her as my leader for a few years. And she was in detail, whether I met my goals, I didn't meet my goals. I mean, if it said that I needed to have a 4% in something, a 3.75 didn't meet it, it's supposed to be 4. Now, I do understand why you didn't get it, but you didn't get the 4. And one time she gave me feedback and she said, "Ellen, sometimes you just need to say no, damn it." And I thought, okay, I get it. I watched her as my leader and I saw how she handled herself in meetings and when requests were made of her. And I learned a lot and I grew from that. So the following year, when she did my performance appraisal, she said, "You did a great job in saying no at times." And I just thought, oh my gosh, I was doing it, not always thinking about it literally. But I had learned to do it and do it in a way that I was still myself. It was things like that that I've learned from her, that you can still be who you are and meet the goals and the deadlines and meet the expectation of your leader as well as those you lead. And I would have to say, my gosh, she is the best at doing that. We work in corporate America to make profits. We work for our shareholders. And yes, it's about people. We've talked a lot about people, but there's been times when you know that you need to meet a certain measurement in order for it to reflect in the bottom line, in order for your stock to do well, your investors to believe in you and what you're doing. And there's been times when you look at the deadline, you look at the work involved, you look at your resources, and you think, oh my gosh, how in the world are we going to do this? But what I have done as a leader is I have gone to the team and I've been very transparent. And I think a lot of times we aren't. We tend to be very secretive when it really wasn't necessary. Yes, there are certain things that are confidential that you don't share. But I think when people see you and how much you care, and that you're being vulnerable to say, I am a bit concerned that we won't make this if we don't do these 4 things. And I know that looks tough because we have limited resources, but you know what? I believe in all of you around this table. And I believe that you have some thoughts and some ideas, ways that we can do this a little differently. You should always continue to brainstorm and include as many brains in that brainstorming as you can. Because you may be a bit surprised at what you pull out of the hat that makes this work this time. I don't think there's ever the Lone Ranger syndrome in this. It is team, continuously. Even if it's not your immediate team, you got to look within the company. And there's been many times where I had to stop and realize, my gosh, Ellen, it's more than just your team of 3 or your team of 6. There are many people here that would love to help. Just kind of going outside those silos sometimes, because sometimes we get so siloed that there was ideas and creativity in some other areas. Being open to that, and being open to not always being the best. You know, that you're the leader, but there could be somebody, and 9 times out of 10, there are other subject matter experts that can help you be successful. With us here at Southwest Airlines, our culture has been what we have been built on for over 40 years. People assume that diversity and inclusion has been in place almost half that time, and it hasn't. It's only been 2 years. So we're new in this focus. It is still all about people. It's the threads within our culture. We've had diversity around us all the time, but really recognizing that some people want to be appreciated and acknowledged differently than the way we're currently doing it is a new learning for us.